Hi, my name is Zach, and you're watching Bite Size. As you can tell, I'm actually not in my lab today. I'm in my car driving to Philadelphia to visit the Philadelphia Mini Maker Faire. As I'm driving here, I have this question in my mind that I'm sort of thinking about. And the question is, what does it mean to be a maker? So as I walk around today and go through the Maker Faire, I want to be able to answer that question. What does it mean to be a maker? So ever since I was really little, I have always enjoyed taking apart things and building things and seeing how they work. A huge influence in my life has always been my dad. My favorite picture I have of my dad and I is when I was about probably 2 or 3 years old, and we are both laying on the ground next to the kitchen sink, and he's fixing the faucet underneath there, and I'm laying next to him, handing him tools and just trying to be next to my dad and learn what he's doing. I think that really says a lot about what kind of relationship I had with my dad growing up, getting to share those times with him and wanting to be like him. My dad always encouraged me to go and build the crazy ideas that I had. He would always have piles of wood in my backyard that I could go outside and hammer and nails and just start putting things together. I'm really glad that I didn't have the option to just spend all my time indoors in front of a screen, that I had to get outside and do something. When I was probably about 10 or 11, he taught me how to safely use a welder, and we had a whole bunch of steel tubing in my backyard. I started welding these tubes together that make a trebuchet, and I put some big old weights on one side and I had a sling on the other, and we could launch basketballs and watermelons across my backyard, and I had a blast doing that kind of stuff. That's the kind of childhood I had. I always was building something and making something, and I attribute a lot of that to my dad. And I wasn't just inspired by my dad. My mom was also a maker. I grew up in a family of 10 kids, and we didn't have a whole lot of money. What that usually meant was that we had to kind of make things by hand. I remember my mom making clothes for us when I was young. Unfortunately, my time with her was cut short. She passed away when I was 13 years old. I think what it comes down to, of what I learned most from my parents growing up, is that they encouraged me to not be afraid to try something new and to build things out of my hands, make things with my hands, if it was fulfilling a need that I had, or if it was just for fun and just to learn how to do something. After high school, I started going to a community college near my house and started taking some of the general classes. And then eventually I took 2 years off of school to go to Japan and serve as a full-time missionary for my church. This experience really changed me. It really helped me to learn how to connect with other people on a personal level, even when we have totally different cultures and different backgrounds and different beliefs, and it was really a good experience for me. After I got back from Japan, I continued my schooling at community college and eventually got married to my wife, Rebecca. After we had been married for about a year, I was at a point in my schooling and she was at a point in her career where we wanted to make a change. So we picked up and we moved from our home state of Arizona across the country and settled in Maryland. I went back to school at the University of Maryland and got a degree in electrical engineering. When people ask me about my college experience, I kind of have a running joke that I took the scenic route through college. Like I said, I started at a community college right after high school, and I didn't graduate with my bachelor's degree until I was 28 years old. I have to say, I have the most wonderful wife in the entire world. I mean, she supported our family financially while I did that. I have so much gratitude for her and the sacrifices that she made in helping me accomplish that life goal. So with my electrical engineering degree, I work full-time as an engineer, and I'm currently working for a small company. We build wireless communication devices and signature reduction devices for the Special Forces and the United States military.
You were one of a million, scared, waiting for your time to come. You're all
Around the end of 2015, the beginning of 2016, I decided to kind of get more serious about making YouTube videos. I started to notice kind of a trend on YouTube, and people who were making things started to become very popular. And I remember one time I just opened up my phone and I turned on this video, and I watched this guy put a chunk of wood on a lathe and slowly turn it down into a beautiful bowl. And I sat there and I watched this, just mesmerized, for about 15 minutes straight, and I had the realization, people enjoy watching other people make things. I enjoy watching other people make things. It's really fascinating to watch people go through the process of taking some raw material and using their hands to create something beautiful. It might be a piece of art, it might be something that is more functional. The whole process of watching somebody make something is fascinating. So as I said, I always have some sort of project going on at home. I'm always building something in my lab or in my garage. I'm always tinkering, and I figured I'm going to be building these projects regardless. Why not put up a camera and start filming these things and sharing it with other people? And one of the goals that I had with making these YouTube videos was to kind of demystify and break down the assumption that you have to be a master to create things, and that's just not true. I'm not an expert by any means on any of the videos that you see. You probably have realized that by now, that most of the time I don't know what I'm doing, and that I just kind of figure it out as I go along. That's one of the important things that I want to convey with the videos that I make, is that you don't have to be an expert to make the things that you see on YouTube. I want to be able to kind of make engineering and making and hacking and electronics and woodworking, all of those things, I want to make it more approachable and show people that all you have to do is have the desire to get started. You might not have all of the tools in the world, but those things will come. You start with what you have and you build something. You just make something.
Leave your old body behind for the time. Some of the neighbor escapes, racing over miles of earth. But I'm tired from that race. Maybe
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm a maker here at Philly's first Maker Faire.
My name is Ben Baylor. I'm a maker.
All right, so I'm John Bazanis. My name is Storm Blooper.
Hi, I'm Dawn Ferguson.
I make event design and entertainment, and what I brought today is costume pieces, specialty costume pieces, and specialty hardware. And as a stencil artist, I kind of started merging everything together, and I was cutting out a lot of things by hand, and then I met a laser, and I would rather a robot cut everything out by hand instead of me doing it over and over and over again.
I started having ideas for things that didn't exist that I thought might be of interest to other people as well.
We make doormats out of old tires. So we slice the tires, punch the holes, cut them to length, weave them onto the stainless steel wire, and voila, you have a mat.
So I created the Domino Master. It's a rectangle figure with four funnel slots, in which you put dominoes in, like that, and then it stabilizes it for you.
The question posed to me was, what is a maker? And I guess I'm a maker, but I think everyone is a maker. And I think anyone who has any kind of interest in creating something new or solving a problem is a maker. Anyone who has interest in creating anything is a maker. I think that's everybody though. I think everyone's a maker. Anyone and everyone is a maker, in my opinion.
To be a maker, oh, that's a good question. To me, it's making the most out of the little amount that I have and repurposing a lot of technology to do what it's not supposed to do. Yeah, things that kind of push the envelope beyond what they're initially intended to do. Also for me, as an artist, it helps to trigger like a response from someone.
A maker is somebody who's curious to find a new solution or a better solution. Well, it starts with that curiosity and wanting to dig in a little bit deeper and learn a little bit more.
It has kind of a bad connotation, but in my case, it's a little bit obsessive. I'm just in that, I look out at the world and I see things and I'm like, this could be done better. It's problem solving, and I think is what kind of appeals to me about it, is just kind of looking out there, seeing an issue and saying, how can I do things different to solve that problem?
So what it means to be a maker for me is to explore my ideas and share my ideas to the world. Show what I thinking and appear and create something like this, show it to the world.
I always tie maker kind of sort of with like the DIY scene almost. Again, like creating from almost nothing or just very limited means to achieve a bigger result. I feel like that's also the thing too, is like anyone can do it.
I guess I define a maker as somebody who takes something and actually makes something out of it, an unused product or a discarded product, and turn it into something new and useful. You don't have to do what everybody else thinks you should do. Find a new approach, find something that interests you, and then you do it. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. We've had plenty of people tell us we're nuts.
Luke Folger. I'm a Unigine by stage name. This is what I call a jetpack. It features some MIDI controllers. I use this for vocoding. I use this for playing monophonic synths and also loops. And then I do big samples that I've made over here. Man, I've been making music on a computer since I was 15 with Fruity Loops. I've always been an inventor and a percussionist, and I used to be in marching band in high schools. I play in the subways. These speakers come off my back, and there's like a little battery pack down here. And it's just a blast, you know? And music is my whole life. What does it mean to be a maker? Well, you can tackle that question from a lot of angles, but for me, I think that living a creative life is the route to happiness. And you don't have to, you know, make art or music, but just coming up, dreaming up ideas and seeing if you could bring them to life is like, that's the way to live. For me, it's always inspired me. It gets me up in the morning, it makes me a pretty happy person, and it's a thing that I can share. People are really ready for people who love what they're doing and their big ideas.
As you can see, makers come in all flavors. There are people who work with electronics like myself, or people who do woodworking, or metalworking, or welding, or making things out of fabric. I think one of the defining characteristics of a maker is somebody who's not afraid to try something that they don't know how to do. They're not afraid to learn how to do it. If I don't know how to do something, I Google it, I learn how to do it, I start looking at what other people do, and I try it, and I fail, and that's okay. That's how you learn the process, is you try new things, and you fail, and you learn through that process. One of my favorite quotes is that it's easier to talk yourself out of something than it is to talk yourself into it. Take making YouTube videos, for example. I have no idea what I'm doing, and it probably shows. My videos are not that good, but that's okay. Every time I make a new video, I kind of learn something new, and I incrementally get better and better. Being a maker doesn't really have anything to do with the actual thing that you're making. It has more to do with your personality and your desire to create things that weren't there before.